She filed for divorce on a Thursday morning. I know it was a Thursday because I remember the day clearly. I had taken the morning off work to surprise her with breakfast. I had stopped at a bakery on the way home and bought the croissants she liked and a coffee exactly the way she always ordered it. I walked in the front door and she was sitting at the kitchen table with a folder of papers in front of her. She looked up at me. She said she had been waiting for me to come home. The folder contained divorce papers, signed already on her side. She slid them across the table toward me the way you slide something to someone when you have been rehearsing the moment for a long time. I was still holding the croissants. Her British passport had arrived in the post 4 days earlier. My name is James. I am 34 years old. I am a financial analyst from London. And I'm going to tell you the story of 2 years of my life that turned out to be something I did not have a name for until a Thursday morning with a bag of croissants in my hand. I met Nina at a language exchange event in central London 3 years before we married. She was there to practice her English. I was there because a friend had dragged me along and I had been about to leave when I saw her across the room. She was funny in a way that did not require translation. Sharp and warm simultaneously. We talked for most of the evening and she gave me her number before she left, and I texted her the same night because I did not want to wait and seem like I was playing a game I had no interest in playing. We dated for 8 months before anything serious was said. I was careful. I am someone who moves carefully in relationships. I had been hurt before in the way that most people have been hurt before, and I had learned that the beginning of something is not the same as its foundation. But Nina seemed different. She was consistent in a way I had not always experienced. She showed up. She was honest about her feelings without being overwhelming about them. She had a life of her own that she was not asking me to replace but to be part of. By month 8, I was fully in love with her. She had come to the UK on a student visa 2 years before we met. She had studied here and then stayed on a graduate visa and was working at a small design firm. Her visa situation was something she was open about. She had applied for an extension and was waiting. She was matter-of-fact about the uncertainty in the way that people who have navigated immigration systems learn to be. I did not think about the visa when I thought about our relationship. I thought about her, the way she laughed, the way she argued about things she cared about, the way she called me on a Tuesday afternoon for no reason other than she had thought of something she wanted to tell me. We got engaged after 18 months. I proposed at home. Nothing dramatic. A dinner I had cooked myself, and a ring I had spent 3 weeks choosing, and a question I had been thinking about for months. She said yes before I had finished asking it. We married the following summer. It was a small wedding. My family, a handful of her friends who were also in London. Her family could not travel from home for the ceremony, but we celebrated with them on a video call the evening after, which was somehow both strange and completely right. The marriage application for her visa was submitted 6 weeks after the wedding. I had done the paperwork carefully. I wanted it to be right. I wanted there to be no complications. The approval came 14 months later. A letter in the post and then the passport a week after that. I remember her opening the envelope. I remember the look on her face. I thought it was relief. I thought it was the relief of someone whose uncertainty had finally resolved. 4 days later, she told me she had been waiting for me to come home. I stood in our kitchen holding a bag of croissants, and I looked at the divorce papers on the table, and I looked at her face, and I felt something I could not name. Not anger, not yet. Something colder and more disorienting than anger. I put the croissants down on the counter. I sat down across from her. I asked her one question. I asked her if any of it had been real. She was quiet for a moment. And then she said that some of it had been real. She said she had genuinely cared about me. She said I was a good man and she had not wanted to hurt me. But she said she had come to this country with a plan. She had not planned for that plan to include me specifically. She had not targeted me or calculated my usefulness from the beginning. But when we met and when things developed between us, she had made a decision to let them develop because the outcome was something she needed and I was someone she could see herself with. She said the two things had been true simultaneously, the genuine feeling and the calculation. She said she understood if I could not hold both of those things at once. I told her I could not. She left that afternoon with 2 suitcases. The flat we had shared for 18 months suddenly felt like a stage set with the production finished and the props left behind. I sat in that flat for the rest of the day. The following weeks were strange in a way that was different from other kinds of loss I had experienced, because the grief was layered in a way that was difficult to separate. There was the loss of Nina herself. There was the loss of the marriage I had believed in. And then, underneath both of those things, there was something more disorienting. The loss of my own certainty about what had been real, because she had said some of it was real, some of it, and I could not determine which parts. I went back through 2 years looking for the line between genuine feeling and strategic decision, and I could not find it. They were woven together in a way that made the whole thing impossible to cleanly evaluate. That uncertainty was the hardest thing to sit with. I went to therapy 6 weeks after she left, not immediately, because I spent the first 6 weeks telling myself I was fine and functioning and did not need it. Then a Tuesday evening, when I was sitting alone in the flat eating dinner, and I realized I had not spoken to anyone who was not a work colleague in 4 days, and I picked up the phone and made an appointment. My therapist said something in our 3rd session that I have thought about many times since. She said that the particular pain of this kind of situation is that it makes a person question not just the relationship, but their own capacity for judgment, and that rebuilding that capacity is the actual work rather than getting over the relationship itself. She was exactly right. I spent a year doing that work, not exclusively in therapy, but that is where it started. I rebuilt slowly and in ways that were not always visible. I stopped replaying the relationship looking for the moments I should have known. I started paying attention differently in every context. Not suspiciously, just more carefully, more patiently. My friends were angry on my behalf, more angry than I was eventually. There was talk of legal options, of whether what she had done constituted fraud, of whether anything could be pursued. I looked into it. The legal picture was complicated. What she had done was not straightforwardly illegal in any way that was easy to prove or pursue. I've eventually decided not to go down that road, not because I did not feel the injustice of it, but because I understood that spending the next period of my life in a legal process would mean giving more of my time to something I needed to move away from. I chose to move away from it. 3 years on, I am in a different place. Not a finished place. I do not think there is a finished place with something like this exactly, but a genuinely different one. I am in a relationship now. Someone I met 18 months ago through work. We moved slowly, or I moved slowly, and she was patient about it, in a way that I found both reassuring and quietly humbling. She knew the outline of what had happened before we became serious. Not every detail, but the shape of it. She did not flinch from it. She said everyone comes with a history, and what matters is what you do with it. I thought about that for a long time. I am still thinking about it. What I want to say to anyone listening who has been through something similar is that the question of what was real is one you may never fully answer. And at some point, the more important question becomes what you are going to do with the time you have after the thing that hurt you. I chose to do something careful with it, to move more slowly, to pay more attention, to trust the people who had earned it, and to give that trust more time to be earned before I extended it. I also chose not to become someone who could not trust at all. That felt like the wrong lesson, the wrong response to the wrong thing someone else had done. I was not the problem in what happened. I was simply the person it happened to. And that person deserved better than to spend the rest of his life paying for someone else's choices. I know that now in a way I did not on a Thursday morning with a bag of croissants and a folder of divorce papers on a kitchen table. I know it completely now, and that is enough.